The world is not ending. You want to know how I know? Costco is still open. Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're talking about the reasons why I finally bought into Costco stock. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that this is a stock I've been just ranting and raving about, but I never had the opportunity to really dip my toes in until right now. Now, today I'm going to talk about the exact reasons as to why I bought into Costco stock and why I'm so excited about this stock and why I'm willing to put money into the stock market, even despite, bad fundamentals and all the issues that we're having in the stock market right now. And even despite all of that, I'm going to tell you why I still think that this is a good buy, even at current levels and in current market conditions. So without further ado, let's jump in. So I bought 4 shares of Costco stock at just under $300 a share. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what the heck, dude? Only 4 shares? Why so little? Well, first of all, I just gotta say that I don't have like tens of thousands of dollars like some of you, right? I can't just afford to dump tens of thousands of dollars into a stock all at once. So that's number one. And number two, even if I did, that's really not my style, right? So I don't go into a stock all at once. I just tend to buy stocks in very little chunks and just nibble my way out of stock little by little and just ease my way in. And the reason why I do that is that if the stock market crashes, like the crash that I've been talking about for a long time, if that actually ever happens, then I'm gonna be screwed if I put all my money in while I was at the top, right? So I wouldn't be able to average down because I wouldn't have any cash left. So the reason why I buy stocks little by little is that so that I have an opportunity to average down if the stock crashes more. So that's the reason why I only bought 4 shares. Now, actually, I would have preferred to buy this stock at even slower paces. So I would have preferred to only buy like 1 or 2 shares at the same time. But the problem is that here in Canada, unfortunately, we don't have commission-free trading. So I place this trade using RBC Direct Investing. And the problem with that is that they do charge a $10 per trade flat fee for commissions. Now, if you do the math, $10 out of $1,000 is 1%, which means that I'm down 1% right out of the gate if I buy $1,000 worth of a stock, which really sucks, right? Because 1% it's not really a lot, to be honest, at the end of the day, but it does affect you, right? So if you make a lot of trades, those commissions can really add up. So that's the reason why I really don't see the value of buying like 1 or 2 shares at the same time. So if I only buy like $200-300 worth of a stock at the same time, then the commission will just be too high, right? Because it's a $10 flat fee. So $10 out of like, $100 stock, that's 10%. If that stock was 100 and I bought 1 share, then that means that the stock will have to skyrocket by 10% before I even break even. That just doesn't make any sense to me, right? So that's why I think that 4 shares, it came out to like $1,200-ish. I think that that's just the perfect amount for me to buy, such that I don't get killed by commissions and such that I can still average down if the stock goes even lower. So that's why I bought 4 shares, if you're wondering why it's such a specific number. Now, without further ado, let me jump into the reasons why I bought this stock. So reason number 1 is, have you been to a Costco? I mean, this might be kind of anecdotal, but every time I go to a Costco, it's always full, right? Every time. And, every Costco that I go to as well, it's not just the Costco's down in like the Toronto area, even when I go like up north. I mean, right now there might be like space in the Costco itself just because they artificially limit the amount of people inside the store just because of social distancing reasons, all right? But then what happens is that people just congregate outside, right? So the parking lot is always full, and then the people just like line up and they just like snake around the entire building and like an anaconda, and it's just madness every time I go. Now, granted, I usually just go on weekends, which tend to be a little bit more busy, but I also go during weekdays, and even during weekdays it's jam-packed. The lineup might not be as long, but there's still always a lineup. Unless you go like literally like 10 minutes before it closes or something, which I did once and there was no lineup, but I literally had like 10 minutes to just grab what I need and get out, right? So yeah, that's reason number 1, is just because I think Costco's business is so good. And don't even get me started with Costco gas, right? So I tried to get Costco gas one day to fill up my car, and then the like lineup was just on the street. right? So you couldn't even get into the gas station because the lineup of cars was so long that it blocked the entrance. Now I couldn't get gas because I literally couldn't, right? Because I can't just stop in the middle of the street. That's like pretty illegal, right? So I couldn't even get into the gas station. So I was just like, you know what? I'll come back another day because this is like absolutely insane, right? So this is not just me though. Every time I talk to anyone I know who has a Costco membership, they always tell me the same thing. They always tell me, yeah, like Costco has just always been like this. It's always full. And this is here in Canada where our population is not that big, right? So I can only imagine what it looks like down in like America. I'm sure you guys know, right? Like if you guys live near a Costco or something like that, you know how crazy it can get. So I don't have to elaborate on this. And number two reason is that they recently published their earnings report. Now I know they missed their earnings, and as a result the stock kind of dropped by a little bit after the earnings report came out. But has anyone actually bothered to read the earnings report? Now actually, in my opinion, the earnings report was actually not that bad. And you know, people always look at the just headlines, right? So the headline was that they missed EPS, so they missed earnings per share. Now, if you actually look into the reason why they missed their earnings per share, the reasons are pretty understandable in my opinion. And that's because of the Roni situation. They had to increase their costs, right? So they spent $283 million sanitizing everything and paying their workers more, which are now on like frontline workers and risking their lives, right? So in my opinion, they should be paid a little more than usual, considering the added risk of just the Roni situation going on. If you think about it, I actually, as a shareholder of Costco right now, I actually like this move because it appears that Costco is not just about profit. They actually care about their consumers, and actually they care about their employees as well. I have no problem with them spending $283 million in the last quarter sanitizing everything and just making sure that their products and their store is safe for everyone. But as a result, the earnings were a little below expectations. But to me, that's completely understandable. So I have no issue with that. And can we just mention that even though that they missed their revenue expectations, their revenue is actually up over 7% year over year compared to the same time last year, which is absolutely amazing in my opinion, because you gotta keep in mind, Costco is a grocery store, right? They're not some like big high-tech company. They're not like an Apple or a Google or a Microsoft. They can't just grow their sales by like 20-30% year over year. The fact that they've grown 7% is already really impressive to me as a grocery store. You know, I used to work at Loblaw, which is a big grocery chain here in Canada, and I don't think Loblaw grows at 7.7% year over year. So yeah, I think that Costco as a business is just pretty exciting as a whole. Just because they sell food doesn't mean that they can't be exciting, right? They also have a lot of other products. So we'll talk about those. And yeah, so that's reason number two. And I think that the earnings report has been overplayed too much, and the earnings report really isn't as bad as some people say it is. So point number three is that Costco actually sells more than just groceries. So I'm sure you guys have noticed that when you walk through a Costco, they have like clothes, they have makeup, they have just they have books, they have just a whole bunch of other stuff that's not groceries. And then, you know, because of the Roni situation, imagine if you had a store that only sold clothes. That store has probably been forced to shut down, unfortunately, right? So if you're looking for, let's say, a new pair of jeans or something, where would you go? You go to Costco, right? So, you know, you can argue or not whether this is fair or unfair. This is a little bit above my pay grade. You're gonna have to take this up with your government. So if you're America, take it up with Donald Trump, write him an email or something, right? And if you're Canadian, just like write a letter to Justin Trudeau or something. So this is not my responsibility. I'm just reporting on the facts, right? And the fact is that a lot of stores have been forced to shut down, and those stores have just basically lost all their business. And if you're looking for a pair of jeans or something, people are just gonna go to Costco instead. And the fact is that Costco is winning, while all the other stores that have been shut down, they're losing, right? So Costco has been allowed to sell all their products essentially, and then if you're buying something that's not related to groceries, you're going to Costco as well. Now the next point is that I was watching Jim Cramer on CNBC, and I don't always agree with Jim Cramer, but in this case I do agree, and I think that he has a good point. He brought up a point that Costco has actually benefited from implementing a mask policy. So in America, they actually are forcing everyone to wear masks. Now here in Canada is still kind of lenient. They're recommending everyone wear masks, but they're not requiring it. But in America, they're forcing everyone to wear masks, and a small minority of people have complained really loudly about this and made made a scene and made an incident about, oh, this is like restricting my freedoms or whatever, right? But the fact of the matter is that the majority of people actually understand the reason why we should all wear masks, and the majority of people are actually understanding of it. And not only are they understanding of it, they actually feel more safe going to a Costco versus any other grocery store because everyone's wearing masks, right? And also, he brought up a good point that the aisles of Costco are wider, which means that there's more room for social distancing, right? As opposed to a grocery store that has like a typical grocery store that has like those like really small aisles. And the most important reason why I love Costco is that Costco prices are just simply cheaper. So there's no way you can really debate on this one, right? So I dare you to open up a grocery store and try to undercut Costco. Pro tip, you can't. You simply can't beat Costco prices, right? There's a reason why people pay a membership to go to Costco. There's a reason why people flock to Costco, even though that they have to pay like, $100, $200 a year for their Costco membership. There's a reason why Costco is so popular, and that's because their prices are just simply better. They have all this figured out, and if there's sufficiencies and if there's a way for them to even cut costs down even lower, they probably would have found it. Now you, as a mom and pop, as just a small private business, if you try to open up a grocery store, it's simply not going to work, right? And you try to compete with Costco, good luck. That's all I'm saying. So remember what we talked about with moats? Moats is like that thing that prevents other businesses from just coming up and taking away your customers and taking away your business, right? So Costco is not so easy for you to replicate as a business. And if you wanted to build your own Costco, you would have a really hard time. Now, even stores like, say like Amazon, right? So I know Amazon's trying to push their Amazon Go grocery stores, and they bought Whole Foods. And then I think they also have a program called Amazon Fresh, which is a grocery delivery, right? So like fresh groceries, not just like canned food and cereal. But I think that even Amazon's having a little bit of trouble, right? Just because a lot of the stuff that they're shipping, it needs to be refrigerated. Amazon has to make sure that the quality of the product is good, and some things need to be kept cold, which means that they have to be delivered really fast. I think that Amazon's been having a little trouble just ramping up and getting grocery delivery to be like a thing for everyone. And a lot of other companies are obviously trying to do grocery delivery too, right? But at the end of the day, I think that going to get your groceries and going to shop at Costco, that's not going to go away anytime soon. And it's not like Costco doesn't have grocery delivery business, right? They do. They're actually pushing online shopping as well. So Costco is building up their own online network, and they might be what Amazon is trying to be, right? So which is a vertically integrated system where you can order groceries from. So I just think that Costco is making really big headway in that area too. And I think that the grocery business is just like, is here to stay, right? Obviously, because everyone needs to eat. It's like a basic necessity. It's not like Cineplex, which I made a video earlier, which is not like movie theater. It's not like cruises where, if you can't go on a cruise, you're like, oh well, I guess I'll push my vacation back, but I'm not gonna like die or anything, right? If you don't eat, you're gonna die. So I just think that the grocery business is just gonna be really stable, and it's a really huge business too. And Costco is one of the most dominant players, if not the most dominant player in this industry, at least here in like North America. Next, let's look at the balance sheet of Costco. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, and I feel like when it comes to Costco, the balance sheet is almost like not important. Well, I shouldn't say it's not important, but with Costco, the business is pretty stable and the cash flows are pretty stable. So they don't need to actually keep like a ton of cash the same way that like other businesses do, because they are afraid that their business might just like go down the toilet or something, right? If you're like a Carnival Cruise, you might want to keep a lot more cash on the balance sheet just to weather the storm, right? But with Costco, I think that you're always going to have a steady flow of clientele, no matter if there's a recession or not recession, no matter if there's Roni or without the Roni. I think that the balance sheet is not like that important when it comes to Costco, as long as it's not like super terrible or anything like that. And I can tell you gladly that Costco does have a pretty good balance sheet as far as I can see, right? So they have $11 billion in cash, or they have a lot of cash on hand, and they don't have that much debt. So they actually have more cash than their short and long-term debt combined, which is always a good sign. And their current ratio is also above 1. So if you remember what we talked about the current ratio, which is their current assets, which is like assets that can be quickly liquidated in case something goes bad, right? So they have their current assets above the total amount of their current liabilities. So that's always a positive sign that the liquidity of the company is not in any immediate danger, as opposed to, let's say, I don't know, an American Airlines or something. If I remember correctly, I made a video about Air Canada earlier, right? So I looked up the current ratio of like airlines and stuff, and whoa, like airlines have just pretty horrible current ratios, right? I think American Airlines is at like 0.3 or something really low like that. So I'm glad to see that Costco has a current ratio above 1, which is great to hear. So moving on, my goal with investing in Costco is basically I just kind of want to use it as a savings account. I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but bear with me, right? So here in Canada and in America too, the interest rates are all just plummeting through the floor, right? Because all the central banks and the Fed is just lowering interest rates to pretty much 0. And once you lower interest rate that much, your savings account are basically not going to give you anything, right? Your savings account, when before they used to give like 2-3% interest, now you try to find a savings account that gives you 2% interest. You can't. So savings account have really low interest rates here in Canada too. And my savings account of choice and the account that usually gives the most interest out of any like major bank or financial institution here in Canada is Wealthsimple Cash. Now, Wealthsimple Cash, I'm not sponsored by the way, I just like using Wealthsimple Cash. Now, Wealthsimple Cash offers an interest rate right now of 0.9%. Now, that's obviously very low, right? So usually inflation is higher than 0.9%. So I would argue that you would actually lose money by putting your money into a Wealthsimple Cash account, even though that they already have the highest interest rates here in Canada, right? So I like shudder to think what the banks are offering. If Wealthsimple is offering 0.9%, the banks are probably offering, I don't know, like 0.4 or 0.5 or something like that, right? So you're basically getting like no money from your savings account. So there's absolutely no point of you keeping your money in a high interest savings account. So with that in mind, where are you going to put your money? So my choice is that I've decided to put my money into Costco stock. So I'm kind of using Costco stock as a savings account. Now, if you look at the dividend yield of Costco, it's right around 0.9%. I think it's slightly above 0.9% at the time of this recording, which means that I'm weighing the options, right? I can put my money into a Wealthsimple Cash account and make 0.9% just flat, or I can put my money into a Costco stock, right? So I put my money into Costco stock and then that'll make me 0.9% just on the dividends, never mind capital gains. Now, obviously, I know what you're going to say. This is not the same, right? So obviously, when you put your money into a savings account, your principal is guaranteed versus if you just buy stocks with it, the stock can go down in value. But the stock could also rise in value, right? So you can get your capital gains from the stock rising in price, and you can collect your 0.9% dividend, which is the exact same as what you would get out of a Wealthsimple Cash savings account. So in my opinion, it's a better deal for me to put my money into Costco, which is, in my opinion, a really high quality stock. So I'm gonna take on a little bit more risk, obviously, with buying a stock, because obviously stocks can go down. So by taking on a little bit extra risk, I can pretty much guarantee a 0.9% return on the stock. And also, as well, have capital gains if the stock actually goes up in price. Now, if the stock goes down in price, then the yield will just go up, right? So I can always average down on my position if the stock goes down in price and get a better yield on my dividends on Costco stock. So overall, my point is that I just think that Costco stock is sort of like a savings account at this point, honestly. And yeah, I've just decided to just take my money out of my Wealthsimple Cash account and just throw it onto Costco stock. Or I could just throw it onto other high dividend yielding stocks, which I'll make more videos talk about other high dividend stocks. I know you guys love those, so I'll make more videos about dividend stocks later. But Costco stock is it's not really a high dividend because it's only 0.9%, but I think it's a pretty good option. So yeah, anyways, that about sums it up for this video. This video is getting a little long, so I'll leave it here. Be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing if you like this series. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, links down below in the description as always. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye. you.